Yes. Um, just start with question color. No, it's okay. Set just director. This now with open. Yeah, no problem. Just you will have an idea what is. Okay. Hello, aspirants. Welcome to Ace with Ease. Today we are going to discuss about Indian economy test explanation as part of Lakshya test series presented by me, Mohan Verachirity. So let us start the discussion related to Indian economy question paper. As part of it, the first question, it says that a country there is a widening gap between consumer price index, wholesale price index. Identify the factors responsible for this kind of scenario. The first statement says that surging prices of capital goods, intermediary goods, and other non-consumption goods. Second statement says that ease of global commodity prices. The third statement says so weakening of service inflation owing to lower demand. So fourth statement says that supply shortage of onions, tomato due to flood and unseasonal rains. Select the correct answer. So they have given various options: one only, two only, three only, all the above. So in this context, so what we need to understand is first one, so WPI and CPI. So here, so WPI is nothing but wholesale price index. So average price levels at the wholesale market is being taken into consideration, and they try to calculate the WPI. And CPI is considered to be so the value of various goods and services so which are being taken into consideration, and average price at the consumer end or in the retail markets will be taken, and accordingly they try to calculate this CPI. So here what they are asking is, so wherever there is a situation where you can see so WPI and as well as the CPI. So they are having certain position, and there is a possibility that the both can be widened because of various factors. So here they have given some of the factors like so first factor they are given as surging prices of capital goods, intermediary goods, and consumption non-consumption goods. So all these are considered to be some of the goods so which are considered with respect to WPA. Okay, and these particular goods, intermediary goods, are not included in the consumer price index. Okay, so any particular search with respect to the capital goods which are included in the WPI, so because of the manufacturing sector index are being given, or manufacturing sector goods are being given more weightage, and accordingly the WPI is being increased, and as well as the CPI with respect to these goods is almost one and the same. But the thing with respect to this first statement, as the WPI prices are been increasing, similarly over a period of time, the consumer price index prices also increases. So that is the reason why here the particular gap between WPI and CPI will be narrowed each and every year. So that's why this statement is wrong. Next one is ease of commodity prices. So with respect to these commodity prices, consumer price index will be increasing, and WPI is almost constant, or it is a slow variation. So that is the reason. So this it will definitely increase a gap between the CPI and WPI. So next one is so weakening of service inflation owing to lower demand. Okay. So here what you need to consider is, so CPI is including the goods and as well as services. So with respect to WPI, so we are including only with respect to the goods. So whenever there is a service inflation is declining, so automatically the CPI definitely decreases and widens the gap. So this is also one of the reason for the widening of gap between WPI and CPI. Next one is supply shortage of onions and tomatoes. So whenever there is a supply short of onions and tomatoes, so in this case the CPI definitely will increase, and so slight increase in the WPI. So it will definitely create a widening gap between so onions and widening gap between CPI and WPI. So these are some of the statements we can see widening of gap between. So here statement 2, 3 and 4 are the correct statements, and statement 1 is wrong. So the answer over here is so option 3, option C, 3 only. Okay. So next question. So with reference to the credit deposit ratio. So with reference to the credit to deposit ratio. Okay. So with reference to credit to deposit ratio, so they have given 4 statements. So high credit to deposit ratio indicate that the bank has made a large amount of loans compared to that of deposits. And second statement says that Reserve Bank of India imposes credit deposit ratio limits for so PSBs and private sector banks. So higher the credit deposit ratio indicate that potential stress in the bank balance sheet. So whereas lower credit deposit ratio may reflect inefficiency in the fund utilization. So fourth statement says that so rising inflation, subsequent tightening of monetary policies increase the so credit deposit ratio. So how many of the above statements are being considered as correct statements? So here they have given so 4 statements, and they are asking so which one is considered to be the correct statement. So if you see the credit deposit ratio, okay, so credit to deposit ratio, so you know, so there is a bank, okay, so in which there are certain deposits, okay, and bank will definitely give certain credit credit to the customers. So this credit to deposit ratio is considered to be one of the factor which is responsible for the bank to make large amount of loans. So with respect to the deposits. So that means here what you need to consider is, so whenever there is a increase in the or credit deposit ratio measures how much amount of bank deposits are given out of loans. So for example, higher the credit to deposit ratio indicate that so there is a possibility that larger portions of deposits are being used for lending purpose. So that's why this statement is a correct statement. So next one is Reserve Bank of India impose credit deposit ratio limits for PSBs and private sector banks. So RBI never involved in the any of the functions with respect to the credit to deposit ratio limits. So next one is higher credit deposit ratio can indicate potential stress in the bank balance sheet. So whereas lower credit deposit ratio may reflect inefficiency in the fund utilization. So that means here what you need to understand is so whenever there is a problem with respect to the stress in the bank balance sheet. So that means there is an increase in the NPS. So then there is a possibility of potential stress. So then automatically, so the bank will try to reduce the credit which is given to the customers. So then automatically we are getting deposits, but the credit was been not given by the banks to the customers. So because of high NPS. So this is the scenario what we have seen during the COVID-19, and this led to the a decrease in the lower credit deposit ratio, and this may lead to the inefficient fund utilization. So that means this statement is correct. So during COVID-19, so banks are unable to give the credit to the customers, and deposits are been increasing. The credit is not given to the customers, so which reflect the inefficiency in the fund utilization by the banks. So that's why this statement is correct. So next one is raising inflation and subsequent tightening of monetary policy increases the credit deposit ratio. So whenever there is an increase in the inflation, so monetary policy with respect to RBI, they try to increase the corresponding rates like repo rate or any of the monetary policy rates automatically. So the corresponding credit which is given to the customers will decline. It will not increase. So that's why this statement is wrong. So on the whole, so you can consider, so the answer over here is B. 2 only is the correct answer. Okay. So next one. So next one is priority sectors targets applicable. So priority sector targets applicable to which of the following categories of the banks? So domestic commercial banks, foreign banks, RRBs, small finance banks, urban cooperative banks. So select the correct answer they are saying. So option A 2 only, 3 only, 2 only, option C 4 only, all there. So here, so what you need to understand is, so this priority sector lending norms has been started in the 1970s. Okay, so this priority sector lending norms, so is decided by RBI, and currently, so if you take with respect to the so domestic commercial banks, so almost the priority sector lending norms, they need to give certain credit facilities to the important sectors, particularly with respect to the agriculture, okay, renewable energy, okay, so renewable energy sector, and self-help groups, so etc. So they are giving priority sector, they are being recognized as a priority sector by the RBI, and accordingly, so the corresponding the domestic commercial banks which are being lended is almost 40% of their credit, and if you take with respect to the so foreign banks, so they are also being given 40% if they are having minimum of more than 20 branches, okay, so 20 branches, and with respect to the regional rural banks, so almost like 75% of the credit is being given to the priority sector, and small finance banks so are also being given so particular loans with respect to the priority sector lending, okay, and at the say 75%, and here urban cooperative banks, so almost like 75%, recently it has been increased. Earlier there is a almost like 40% is being given to the priority sector lending by the urban cooperative bank, so recently it has been increased by to almost 75%. So that means here answer is D, all the above is the correct answer. Okay, so next question. Next question. So with reference to the International Financial Services Center Authority, so consider the following statements. Okay. So here the first statements indicate that so IFCA is the unified authority for the development regulation of financial products in the international financial services in India. Okay. And second statement says that it presents the GIFT City is the only international financial services center in India. And IFSC is a compliance of international standards like FATF and as well as Basel norms. So IFSCA is a statutory body established under International Financial Security Center Authority Act. So these are some of the four statements given. So which of the following statements are correct? So if you see here IFSC, so IFSC is considered to be one of the financial International Financial Services Center Authority is considered to be established in a recent past in the gift city. Okay, so gift city is being created by the government. So to provide or to facilitate all the financial services or international financial services, and at the same time, so it will try to facilitate the corresponding business services. Okay, so business services. So with respect to various companies, and at the same time, it will try to facilitate the corresponding mergers and acquisitions. So mergers and acquisitions. So mergers and acquisitions, and then it will try to facilitate the various international bodies, organizations. Like IFSCA. Okay, IFSCA. So this is considered to be one of the organization created by the government of India, and it will try to regulate all the financial products. So here financial products in the sense it may be related to any of the services provided by the companies from one company to another company. So they are considered to be called as financial products, business services. So this is one of the organization, and at the same time here it is considered to be one of the only international financial service center created in India, and whatever the particular norms or the standards are being followed based on the guidelines given by FATF and as well as the Basel norms. So because of various financial services which are being has to be transferred with an efficient, effective process. So that's why the government is adopting this FATF standards, and it is being implemented in the gift city. So which is International Financial Service Center Authority is also been complied, and it has been one of the statutory authority created by the government, and this gift city is considered to be one of the organization. So in this International Financial Service Center Authority, so there are many members who are part of this RBI, SEBI, and Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, and it is also considered to be one of the organization which will try to regulate the rules and regulations which are being followed in the gift city. And here if you see the answer over here is almost all the statements are considered to be called as correct. So regarding International Financial Service Center Authority. Okay. Next question, consider the following statements regarding insolvency bankruptcy code. So this is considered to be one of the initiative of the government to address the problems of the NPS, okay, and as well as stressed companies or loss-making companies, okay. So loss companies, so to shut down their operations, certain process created by the government is Insolvency Bankruptcy Code 2016. So statement 1 says that the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code was introduced in as a mechanism to address the raising non-performing assets in the banking sector. Statement 2 says that IBC allows financial credits to initiate insolvency process against the companies with NPS. In these two statements, so which of the following statements are considered to be called as correct statement? So here they have given a series of statements over here. So first we will discuss about this a brief information about insolvency bankruptcy code. So you know that in the banking sector, so most of the time one of the problem is NPS. So as NPS are been increasing, okay, so banks want to secure their lending process or the loans assets which are given to most of the customers, okay. So here these customers are facing problems. It may be because of the recent scenario with respect to the companies is COVID-19, or the various types of practices followed by the customers are leading to the losses, and they may be bankrupted over a period of time. And here this banking sector is facing problem. So whenever the customer is not able to do good business, so in that case the process which was being created by the government to address the problems of banking sector and to address the problems of the customer, the detailed process is mentioned in the insolvency bankruptcy code, which was being passed in 2016. So and at the same time, so this here uh, the banks are being given so particular function. So one of the function in the process of IBC, so they are considered to be called as financial creditors. So whoever the banks are being given loans to customers, so loans to customers, any of the banks which are given to the customers, different types of banks, it may be SBI or ICICI or any of the banks, Bank of Baroda. So all these banks are being given particular loans to customers. So they are forming a consortium which is considered to be called as financial creditors. So they can initiate the process of the NPA and try to solve the problem with the customers through a process called as IBC. So here the answer will be, so both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. So answer A is the correct answer. So next question, consider the following statements about the remittances. So here remittances is considered to be from following working abroad are classified as a personal transfers under current transfers in the balance of payment. So here what you need to remember is, so remittances is considered to be incorporated in the so sector, external sector. So in this external sector, so we have the current account, okay, so current account and as well as capital account. So in this current account, so we include remittances, okay, so we include so remittances. So this remittances is considered to be so almost like any person transferring a certain amount of money who are working in abroad is termed as remittances. So India is considered to be so one of the largest recipient of remittances, and it has witnessed a continuous increase in the remittances flow in the past decade, and India is considered to be the one of the largest recipient of remittances in from last couple of years. So you can see it has substantial remittances of inflow is primarily from the United States of United Arab Emirates. It is been given, but it is not UAE. So but it is USA. So here this statement is wrong. So other two statements are correct. So the answer is B, 2 only. So next question. So which of the following curve indicates the degree of inequality with respect to the population? So here they have given so Gini coefficient, so Phillips curve, Lorentz curve, and Laffer curve. So this Lorentz curve is considered to be so which is one of the process in which uh, income inequality in the population can be measured. And here Gini coefficient also gives you about the income inequalities, but however it has mentioned as curve. So that is the reason why so Lorentz curve is been taken as the answer over here. So the answer for this question is income inequalities in the population can be measured through so Lorentz curve. So next, consider the following statements regarding so non-tax revenue. So consider the following statements regarding a non-tax revenue. So here, so you can consider so revenue for the government into two categories. So one is tax revenue, and another one is so non-tax revenue. Okay. So in this non-tax revenue, if you see, so in recent past, so there are major non-tax revenue is so profits and dividends. so profits and dividends of PSUs. Okay, and any of the other particular income generated, so others we can write it as, and others it may be any of the particular payments paid by the people, or any type of particular fee. Okay, or you can consider as a asset monetization, asset so monetization, asset monetization, or you can consider as any type of penalty, so penalty, so etc., so are considered to be part of so non-tax revenue for the government. So and at the same time, so government is auctioning spectrum. Okay, so spectrum auction so is also considered to be so one of the revenue so which was being generated for the government. So it is called as so non-tax revenue. And here if you see the post pandemic so recent past, if you see non-tax revenue has consistent increase. So it is not consistent increase, so it has increased and then declined and then increased. So that's why so it is it is not a steep increase or consistent increase. So that's why this statement is wrong. And at the same time, here non-tax includes higher dividends of PSUs, and any revenue from the asset monetization so is also considered to be part of this statement too. So that is the reason why the answer for this question is option D. So option D. So correct answer option D is the correct answer for this question. So next, consider the following statements. Statement 1. So tax buoyancy. So consider the following statements. So the statements, tax buoyancy is the ratio of change in the tax revenue in relation to the change in GDP of the economy. So statement 2 says that lower tax buoyancy implies the tax revenue growing slower than that of GDP rates. So which of the following statements are correct? Okay. So here you can see, so with respect to the tax buoyancy, sorry, so it is equal to so change in the tax revenue to that of change in the GDP. So for example, tax buoyancy is equal to 1. So it implies that so almost so tax revenue is in the corresponding change in the revenue is almost equivalent to that of change in tax revenue. So a stable growth with respect to the revenue, tax revenue, and as well as GDP. And if it is more than 1, so it implies that so efficient tax system is being followed in the context of statement with respect to the tax buoyancy greater than 1. If it is less than 1, so then there is a possibility that so tax revenue has declined in comparison to that of the GDP. So lower tax buoyancy implies that so tax revenue is growing slower than that of the GDP. So that means here statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is correct, and option A, both the statements are considered to be correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. So option A is the correct answer. Okay. So next question. So next, so which of the following initiatives can promote inclusive development growth? Okay. So here inclusive development growth in the sense inclusive development and growth. So here certain section of the people who are being neglected are being provided with the basic necessary facilities, and they are being part of economic growth and development. So for that purpose, the initiatives like Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, so Mudra Yojana, and as well as so financial literacy. So all these are considered to be initiatives of the government to promote inclusive development and growth. So inclusive development in the sense, so improving the standard of living of the people. So with respect to various parameters like it may be literacy, it may be income generating sources, or it may be any of the particular initiatives of the government like opening of bank account. So here opening of the bank account may lead to the implementing direct benefit transfer schemes, and it may increase the income levels of the people. So that's why it is considered to be called as inclusive development. And MSMEs are being developed with the help of mudra loans. So the small scale industries can be protected. So that is also considered to be called as inclusive development and growth. So financial literacy through financial literacy centers is also considered to be one of the initiatives which help in the development in inclusive development and growth. So answer is all the three is considered to be the correct statements. So next one, consider the following statements. So regarding Aadhaar enabled payment services. So here it is a mandatory to receive a one-time password. So on Aadhaar registered contact number to carry out a transaction with Aadhaar enabled payment services. So here what you need to remember is in this context, so Aadhaar enabled payment transactions, it is not about receiving any kind of OTP, but here we will use the biometric method. So with respect to the Aadhaar, so that is the reason the statement is wrong. And Aadhaar enabled payment system reduces the threats and frauds, and genuine activity with respect to the customer's bank account is being followed. And at the same time, so NPCI has set a limit of 10,000 rupees per transactions with respect to withdrawals on micro ATMs through AEPS. So here the option 2 and option 3 are the correct statements, and option 1 is wrong. So only two statements are correct. Next, consider the following statements. Okay, so continuation. So consider the following statement. So here they are saying, so so consider the following statements. So mismatch of the bank assets and liabilities, competitive pressure from small saving schemes, so internal benchmark for pricing loans by the banks, asset quality of scheduled commercial banks. So how many of the above factors as per RBI so prevent effective transmission of monetary policy deposits and lending rates of the bank. So here, so what is considered to be called as monetary policy transmission? So for example, RBI is one entity and bank as one entity. So whenever the RBI is reducing this repo rate, so then automatically, so the bank particular rates has to be reduced. So then we can call, whenever this is been reflected, we call it as a so monetary policy the transmission. Okay, and here, so what are the various factors? So as per RBI, prevent the monetary policy transmission. So that means which are the considered to be various factors, so which are affecting this so monetary policy transmission. So if you see, so there is a assets are there, liabilities are there. So assets means all the time we can consider as so long term deposits, okay, deposits, and liabilities in the sense short term deposits in which the bank has to settle with the customers or depositors. Okay, and at the same time, so because of this mismatch all the time, so banks doesn't want to transmit any of the initiatives of the RBI, so which the various rates are being reduced by RBI. So but these rates are being not reflected in the customers end, so because of gap between the assets and liabilities. So whenever there is a assets and liabilities are being the gap is very high. Okay, so if this gap is very high, so then there is a possibility of decrease in the profit. So then to maintain this profit, they doesn't pass on the benefits of given by RBI to that of customers. So this is the correct statement or the factor which is affecting the monetary policy transmission. Next, competitive pressure from the small savings schemes. So these small savings schemes means you can consider as Kisan Vikas Patras or national savings scams. Okay, so national savings schemes. So all these are considered to be small savings. So if these small savings are being adopted, followed by the people because of high interest rates. So if RBI is reducing these interest rates, so the banks cannot reduce the interest rates or on these particular small savings schemes. Any of the schemes, they cannot reduce the interest rates all of a sudden. And at the same time, so these small savings schemes are at high interest rates. So that's why bank want to maintain at high interest rates to be competitive in the market. So that is the reason why this small savings schemes is also one of the reason for the factor which is preventing the monetary policy transmission. Next, internal benchmark rate pricing of the loans by the banks. So here internal benchmark rate in the sense you can consider as the MCLR. So MCLR, okay. So MCLR, okay. So MCLR is considered to be some marginal cost lending rate or bank rates. So these are the basic rates in which the banks try to lend certain loans to the customers. And so if below which, so most of the time, so banks want to maintain this MCLR. So because of which, so they are having a pressure on them, and they most of the time they try to prevent the monetary policy transmission because of internal benchmark rate pricing. And the next one is about the asset quality of scheduled commercial banks. So here asset quality of scheduled commercial banks means increasing non-performing assets again. So if there is an increase in the non-performing assets, there is a possibility that the profit might decline. So because of this, the investments will be affected. So that's why the banks avoid this monetary policy transmission. So that is the reason. So all the particular statements are correct. So here option C is the correct answer. Okay. So option C is the correct answer. Next, which of the below mentioned conditions demand for money does decrease in the economy? So first one, increase in borrowing and credit availability. So increase in interest rates of RBI. So raising inflation in the economy. So which select the correct answer. So here what they are asking. So demand for uh, money does decrease in the economy. So, when because of which of the initiatives, demand for money will be decreased. So, for example, so whenever there is a credit availability in the economy, so or increase in the borrowing, so definitely it will increase the demand for money. Okay, so definitely it will increase the demand for money. So, for example, so you can consider, so banks are giving at a low interest rates availability. So then automatically people try to take more loans, may create a demand for money. So that's why this statement is a wrong statement. Okay, it is not related to, it is increasing. So that is why it is a wrong. Next, increase in the interest rates by the RBI. So whenever RBI is increasing the interest rates, okay, so then automatically the banks, so definitely it will increase the interest rates. So then it will try to reduce the demand for money. So demand for money. So that means here you can consider that this is a correct statement. It will try to reduce the demand for money in the economy. So next one is raising inflation in the economy. So whenever there is a high inflation, so RBI try to increase the repo rate or monetary policy rates. So monetary policy rates. So here, so increase in the monetary policy rates. So definitely it will try to decrease the demand for money. So these two statements are correct. So first statement is wrong. So answer is only two. Okay. So next question, consider the following functions. Okay, so consider the following functions. So here they have given four statements. So here they have given four statements. Okay, so first one is about acting as a merchant bank for the central government. Okay, so second one, so managing the country's foreign exchange reserves and framing the fiscal policy of the country. So fourth one is lending foreign currency to the individuals. So which of the above functions functions are considered to be Reserve Bank of India? So for example here, so RBI is considered to be one of the banker to the government. Okay, so whenever government required money, so it is giving certain loans to the bank. So that's why we can call it as acting as a merchant bank for the central government. And next one is RBI. Another function is so it will try to manage the foreign exchange reserves. So which includes the foreign currency assets. Okay, and then gold. Okay, and SDR and reserve pension. All these are considered to be foreign exchange reserves in which RBI try to manage them. So on behalf of the government is also considered to be the correct statement with respect to the functions of RBI. So next one is fiscal policy of the country. So it is being done by the government, so not by the RBI. Okay, so fiscal policy is defined by the government, not by the RBI. So this is not a function. Next, lending foreign currency to the individuals. It doesn't lend the foreign currency. It will try to regulate the foreign currency which are coming into India. So that's why here option B. So 2 only is the correct statement. Option B is the correct statement. So next one. Consider the following statements. Next question. Consider the following statements. Okay. So here, so there are two statements they have given. So first one is about the under the existing regulatory framework of NBFC, systematically important NBFCs are required to maintain regulatory capital of 15% against the risk-weighted assets. So this is the statement one. So statement two is NBFCs need to maintain capital adequacy ratio as prescribed by RBI. So which of them are considered to be the correct statements? So here what you need to remember is, so NBFCs are considered to be some of the financial entities in which they have to maintain CR, AR, okay, so capital to risk weighted assets ratio, and at the same time it is prescribed by the RBI. So because whenever bank NBFCs are particularly lending it to the customers, so the minimum regulatory norms are defined by the RBI, and one of the norm is CRAR. So currently it is 15%. So here both the statements are correct, and at the same time statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. Okay, so answer is A. So next one, which of the following activities Reserve Bank of India is considered as part of sterilization process? So sterilization in the sense, so whenever foreign currency is entering into the country, so like India, so this foreign currency has to be stabilized, or foreign currency has to be, excess foreign currency has to be absorbed. So that process is considered to be called as sterilization. So here they have given, so which of the following actions are to be part of sterilization? So conducting open market operations. So this foreign currency can be absorbed so by uh, buying and as well as selling of the bonds. So government securities. So bonds in the sense government securities. So here you can see, so open market operations are being conducted by RBI. So which is helpful for the sterilization. So this statement is correct. Next, oversize settlements of payments and system. So here, so with respect to the settlements of payments and system is nowhere related to this sterilization process. And at the same time, debt and cash management of central and state government is not related to the corresponding sterilization process. And the regulating functions of NBFCs institutions is also not related to sterilization process. So the here answer is so A only. So only one statement is the correct answer. Okay. So option A is considered to be the correct answer over here. Okay. So next one. So next one, which of the following schemes ensure So which of the following schemes should ensure universal health coverage? So universal health coverage in the sense, so it is being applicable to all the section of the people in India. So then we call it as a universal health coverage, particularly for the weaker sections of the people. So for example, if you consider Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission, okay. So in this so we are trying to strengthen the health infrastructure. So under this Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure. Okay, and here we are constructing like surveillance, so and as well as disease mechanism and the necessary infrastructure which is involved in the collection of data and all is being done under this PM Ayushman Bharat Health Infrastructure Mission. So next one is about the Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Centers. So these are some similar to the primary healthcare centers created under it. Next one is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So in which the government is providing subsidized tertiary health services. So uh, tertiary health services for the poorer section of the people. Okay, so in which almost like 5 lakh rupees are being what services are being provided to the poorer section tertiary health services under a program called as Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Next one is National Digital Health Mission. So this is also considered to be one of the particular machine which was started by the government to develop the digital portals and as well as to maintain digital records under this machine called as National Digital Health Mission. So here, if you see, so the schemes which are ensuring universal health coverage is all of them. So answer is D. So next one, consider the following statements. So statement one, scheduled commercial banks have been experiencing steady growth in the profitability. So statement two is gross non-performing assets has shown decadal decline. And statement three, there is an improvement in the risk-weighted assets ratio. Okay. So here, if you see, so there are three statements they have given. So first one is saying that so scheduled commercial banks has increased the profitability. So if you see after COVID-19, okay, so most of the scheduled commercial banks has witnessed the decline in the gross non-performing assets. Okay, and because of this, there is a possibility of increase in the profitability of the particular banks. And here, so what are the initiatives taken up by the government is they are maintaining to the strictly norms to the CAR. So capital adequacy ratio is strictly maintained, and all the scheduled commercial banks are following so prudential norms. So prudential norms, or you can consider as the Basel norms, Basel norms. So which are being released by the RBA, and at the same time, so there are some other initiatives like so IBC, Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, Bad Bank. So there are many initiatives of the government, so which led to the declining non-performing assets, and it may increase the profitability of the particular bank. And you can see apply the same information over here. The statement one is correct, and gross non-performing assets has declined from its peak in 2017-18 to in recent past it has declined, and improvement in the improvement in the risk capital to risk weighted assets ratio. So every particular bank is maintaining certain amount of money for this risk assets. So CRAR has been improved in recent past. So for example, if you consider, so ICICI bank has almost like CRAR of almost 17%. So which shows that a decent improvement in recent past. So you can see So statement 2 and 3 are considered to be correct, and both of them are explaining the statement 1. Okay, so that's why answer option A is the correct answer. So next, which of the following can lead to decline in the money multiplier? Okay, so here, so money multiplier is nothing but M3 by M3 by M0. So money multiplier all the time, so it will try to indicate so how much amount of particular money has been increasing or decreasing. So here every time if there is a money multiplier is been high, okay, so it indicates that so currency circulation is also very high. And if the currency circulation has to be high, then the CRR SLR has to be low. So but here they are asking about so decrease in the money multiplier. So whenever there is a decrease in the money multiplier, it indicates that currency circulation. So currency circulation has to be declined. So when the currency circulation will be declined, so then whenever there is a CRR is high, SLR is high, there is a possibility that the currency circulation will be less. So that means money multiplier is all the time so inversely proportional to the CRR and as well as SLR. So that is the basic point you need to remember. And increasing the bank rates also decreases the currency circulation. And indirect benefit transfer scheme nowhere related to the money multiplier. So here option 1 and 2 are the considered to be correct statements. Okay, so only option B 2 only is the correct statements. So next, consider the following statements regarding statement 1, 2 and 3. So they have given credit to deposit ratio, okay, reflects a depth of financial penetration and significance of credit in the driving economic growth. So that means here, so credit to GDP. So this is considered to be so one of the ratio which is being considered. Okay, so credit to deposit ratio. So what they are saying is so if this is considered to be one of the indicators, so how much amount of credit has been spread for the increase in the GDP is considered to be one of the parameter which will be helpful in understanding about so the credit given by the bank has been reached to all the section of the people or not can be assessed to this credit to deposit ratio. And it will definitely helpful for the growth of the economy can be measured through this particular parameter. So that's the first statement is correct. Next, for example, if this is positive, okay, so if this is positive, indicate that the credit growth has increased, okay, and if it is negative, so then credit growth is declining. So same thing was been mentioned over here, and credit growth is declined in the sense banks are not able to give the loans to the certain section of the people, and even though they are having enough money, so they are not able to give it to their potential. So that is what mentioned whenever there is a credit to deposit ratio is a negative. So positive in the sense, so most of the people are getting credit facilities and increase in the GDP, so that is economic growth. And whenever there is a negative, so then it indicates that credit growth has declined. So banks are not in a position to meet the demands as per the people. So there is a possibility that so GDP of the particular country can be declined. So here, so lower ratio means indicate that so economy is not able to fulfill its credit potential. It may hinder the growth of the economy. So here, the option over here you can consider is so both 1 and 2 statements are correct, and both of them are trying to explain the statement 1. Okay, so whether we are economic growth is been increasing or decreasing can be explained with the help of both the statements. Option A is the correct statement. So next one, which of the following is considered to be the cause of depreciation of value of rupee? So here they are saying depreciation. So depreciation is nothing but so decrease in value of rupee. So decrease in the value of rupee. So this depreciation is being caused by various factors. So here they have given us increase in the demand for a dollar. So whenever uh, uh, there is a imports and as well as exports. Okay, so then uh, if any of the particular exporters are declining, so importers are increasing. So for example, you consider as oil producing countries. So these oil producing countries are demanding dollar. So if there is a high demand for a dollar, so then in relation to that of India, a rupee will definitely decline. So decline in the sense the value of rupee will be declining. So that particular scenario is considered to be called as a depreciation. So that means, so whenever there is an increase in the demand for a dollar by any of the importers, then there is a possibility that rupee value will decrease. Next, sell of dollars by the RBI. So to reduce the demand for dollars, so what RBI is doing is, so it is selling the dollars in the international market. So it is a scenario of appreciation. It is a scenario of appreciation. So next one, increasing the interest rates of US bonds by the Federal Reserve. So that means, so whenever US is increasing its bond rates, so all the time, so whoever the foreign institutional investors or foreign investors, so they will try to invest in this US bonds. So that means, so any of the foreign currency going from India to other country, so then also the rupee will be depreciated. So that is one of the another reason. So this is also considered to be the cause for the depreciation of currency. So this is the correct statement, and this is the correct statement, this is wrong. And demonetization is nowhere related to the external currency exchange rate. So that's why the statement is wrong. So only two statements are correct. Option D is the correct answer. Option D is the correct answer. So next question, consider the following statements. So here you can see, so government securities market, corporate bond market, so municipal bond market, commercial papers. So which of them are part of a debt markets in India? So so in capital market, or you can consider as Indian market. So you can consider as a capital market and as well as a money market. So in this money market, so most of them are considered to be, so debt instruments. So debt instruments are being issued instruments. So what are those debt instrument in the sense? So it can be of commercial papers, okay, certificate of deposits, or any kind of the bonds, so corporate bonds, so etc. So all these are considered to be part of a money market. So here, so in this debt instruments or a debt market, so which of them are considered to be part of it? So here you can see, so government securities issued by the government, corporate companies will issue corporate bonds, and municipal state government will issue municipal bonds, or local bodies can issue municipal bonds. And here you can see commercial papers are also being issued, so by some of the particular banks, financial institutions. So all these are considered to be called as some of the instruments which are part of this debt markets in India. So that's why the answer over here is D. All the four is the correct answer. Okay. So next one is about the consider the following statements. So you can see, so first statement says that in India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor. So the project aims to give the boost international trade by reducing transit time by 40%, transportation cost by 30%. So compared to that of Suez Canal route. So you can see, so from India, okay, so we are connecting it to UAE, okay, and UAE to the Saudi Arabia to the Israel, okay, Israel, and Israel to the top of the Greece, okay. So Greece, or you can consider as the European countries. So European countries, Union, you can consider. So all this route which was being developed is considered to be called as IMEC. So it was being proposed by India in the G20 summit. So it was proposed by India in the G20 summit. So in this context, so this statement is correct. And at the same time, so here you can see, so China BRI project has created a debt trap. So so for the construction of various infrastructure projects globally, China has come up with the Belt and Road initiative. So this Belt and Road initiative is developed by China, and at the same time, you can see the whatever the projects, infrastructure projects which are constructed under this BRI. So example you can consider as a Humban Tota, okay. So Humban Tota port, so which was in Sri Lanka, is considered to be one of the problem in which Sri Lanka is facing a debt trap. So debt trap. So debt trap in the sense, so it is taking the loans to repay the loans taken from the China. So most of the countries, so because of these infrastructure projects constructed by the China, are into the debt trap, and accordingly they are facing problem. So, and it has diminished the strategic space for the United States and as well as European countries. So that means, so this Belt and Road Initiative, so earlier this infrastructure has facilitated some of the countries, but now it has diminished the United States and European countries. Okay, and these United States and European countries are also now looking into the project called as IMEC. So if this project is being succeeded, so then the cost of transit will be reduced, cost of transportation will be reduced. So that's why here both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explanation for the statement 1. So that is the point you need to understand. So next one is, which of the following countries are part of Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral technical economic cooperation, which is considered to be called as so BIMSTEC. Okay, so here, so you can consider they have given us so Maldives, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, and Bhutan. So which are all countries are part of this BIMSTEC means all the countries which are surrounded by so this Bay of Bengal is being part of this the BIMSTEC. So the objective of the BIMSTEC is one of the reason is economic cooperation, so security cooperation, and as well as the improving the cultural relations are considered to be called as so multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation. So in here, so most of the countries are part of it. So except Maldives, so most of the countries over here is so Maldives, except Maldives, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, and Bhutan. So Bhutan is also part of BIMSTEC. So the answer should be over here is so option B. So only 4. Okay. So next, with reference to the Solar Energy Corporation of India, consider the following statements. So this Solar Energy Corporation of India, SECI, so it was established, first statement says that it was established to implement National Solar Mission. And second statement says that it serves as a implementing agency for the solar, wind, hydro projects. So as a part of fulfilling countries' nationally determined contributions. So next one is SECA releases the tender for selection of renewable energy. So developers for establishment of projects on pan-India and state-specific bias. So here the organization is being established by the government of India. So now it is considered to be one of the PSU, so which was helpful in the development of renewable energy resources. Okay, so here what you need to understand is, so whatever the national solar mission which was been started by the government, so to achieve this solar target, so 100 gigawatt of solar energy target is been initiated by the government, so has been implemented by our actual power production is done by Solar Energy Corporation of India. So it is considered to be one of the PSU or the nodal agency which was been helpful in the development of solar, wind, and hybrid models, so that so whatever the India's nationally determined contributions, so like generating so 500 gigawatts of renewable energy in the next coming years by 2030 can be achieved with the help of Solar Energy Corporation of India. And it is also considered to be so one of the uh, organization so which will try to develop the different types of projects not only in one state, so pan India different projects are being taken. So here, so all the three statements are correct. Option C is the correct answer. So next one is IPEF, so Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. So this is also one of the global organization, so which will try to provide certain economic cooperation and as well as the trade cooperation. So this was considered to be a part of almost like 14 members are considered to be part of IPEF. So in this almost like so Brunei, Fiji, and Indonesia, Vietnam, and Malaysia. All the countries are considered to be part of this IPEF. So this actually has been created. So after the fall of the Trans-Pacific Cooperation. So when USA has come out of it, so it has created so new type of organization called as Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, in which the countries surrounded by Pacific Ocean and Indian Ocean are being part of it, and accordingly 14 countries are been part of it, and accordingly so they try to increase maximize the trade, and they want to become as a trade bloc in the next coming days, so that the market can be protected by the rest the member countries. So here the option is D. All the five countries are considered to be the part of this IPEF. So next one is tourism policy. So which of the following areas are being focused under national tourism policy? So here first one is green tourism, digital tourism, so destination management, skilling the hospitality sector, and supporting tourism related to the MSMEs. The objective of this tourism policy is to promote tourism, and at the same time to make India with respect to the promote India with respect to the tourism, creation of employment, and develop tourist industry. So with respect to the various development of infrastructure. So all these are considered to be part of this tourism policy. So in that, in recent past, the government of India are focusing on so green tourism. So with respect to with respect to various projects which were being developed eco-friendly. So the green tourism is being promoted. So digital tourism is also one of the new component taken up under this policy. So destination management or destination events which are being taken up by some of the organizations. So hospitality sector. So for that purpose, so the government is promoting skill development programs and supporting tourism to the MSMEs. So to develop the infrastructure and to provide services in the remote areas. So we are taking the help of MSMEs. So all these are considered to be part of the national policy for tourism. The answer is D. Okay. So next question. So higher fiscal deficit of an economy can lead to which of the following among the situation in the economy? So whenever there is a fiscal deficit, okay. So fiscal deficit is nothing but so total expenditure so minus total revenue without borrowings. Okay. So without so borrowings. So you can see here. So total revenue without borrowings. So so higher fiscal deficit in the sense. So which of the factor which affect this higher fiscal deficit? So here you can see higher inflation. So if inflation is very high, so whether it will affect this fiscal deficit or not. So if inflation is very high, okay, so then automatically, so the expenditure of the government will be increased on various projects, and the revenue is almost same. So there is a possibility that fiscal deficit may be increased. So this is the right reason. So next one is a higher tax rate. Okay. So higher tax rate in the sense you can see. So whenever there is a so increase in the taxes to reduce this fiscal deficit. So most of the time, so the government will try to increase the tax rate whenever there is a high fiscal deficit. Okay, so because to reduce this borrowings or to reduce this particular fiscal deficit, so what government will do is they will try to maximize the income sources, and accordingly they will try to increase the tax rate. Next, higher foreign dependency. So higher foreign dependency in the sense, so whenever we don't have enough revenue is generated, so we will try to depend on foreign investment to bridge this fiscal deficit. So higher foreign dependence. So next one is higher sovereign credit rate. So credit rating is like there are Standard and Poor's and as well as Fitch. So there are some of the global organization which will give credit rating for the performance of the country with respect to the GDP or with respect to the growth of the country. So that is not related to higher fiscal deficit. So only three statements are correct. So option C is the correct answer. Okay, so that is the point you need to understand. So next, so next, consider the following statements regarding a security transaction tax. So STT. So security transaction tax is imposed. So whenever there is any financial transaction, so financial transaction, particularly in the capital market or money market. Okay, so capital market or money market. So whenever there is any financial transactions, so financial instruments which are being involved in the money market. So then whenever there is any financial transaction, so then in that context, so we are using this government is imposing security transaction tax. So it is STT is a kind of financial transaction tax that is similar to that of tax collection at source. So tax collection at source is particularly with respect to the goods and services. So that means it is an indirect tax. But here STT is considered to be so one of the direct tax imposed on the people who are doing financial transactions. So that's why this statement is wrong. Okay, and STT is a direct tax levied on every purchase and sale of securities. So securities in the sense it can be of shares or it can be of any type of mutual funds. Okay, options. So mutual funds or any particular type of securities so that are listed or recognized in the stock exchanges. So then STT is being imposed. Next, STT is governed by the security transaction tax. So it is not security transaction tax, but it is a so finance act, so which was passed by the government. So in that STT is been regulated. So that is the point you need to remember. And at the same time, so uh, taxable securities include equity, derivatives, and equity-oriented mutual funds, etc. So on these particular securities, STT is being imposed. So these are some of the points you need to remember. So with respect to this, so with respect to this question, so here answer is so first statement and as well as fourth statement are correct. Option B, only two statements are correct in this context. Okay. So first statement is wrong, second statement is correct, fourth statement is correct, and option B, only two is the correct answer. So next one, consider the following statements. So statement one, MSME. So in India, regulated under MSME Act 2006. So MSME must obtain Udayam portal registration, and GST registration is mandatory for MSME. So you know MSME is very important with respect to the exports, with respect to the development of various industrial goods production. MSME is very much important. So first time Government of India has created or passed an act called as MSME 2006. So based on this act, so this MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises are being defined, and accordingly they were being defined. So based on various parameters like the so investment and as well as turnover. So these are the two parameters are being taken, and accordingly, the government is defining the MSME in a recent past, which is mentioned in this act. So MSMEs must obtain the Udayam portal registration. So this is wrong. So because so here Udayam portal is to avail. Okay. So Udayam portal is to avail any kind of subsidies. Okay, subsidies or any kind of benefits. Okay, so if you don't want these subsidies or benefits, you need not register with the Udayam portal. So this statement is wrong. So it is not must and should to register with respect to Udayam portal by MSMEs. GST registration is mandatory for MSMEs. So this is also one of the statements which is wrong. So why this GST registration is not a mandatory? Because in this context, most of the there are certain MSMEs, okay, so MSMEs, so which are been having a value less than 40 lakhs or less than 20 lakhs, so they need not come under the GST registration, so they can be exempted or they need not go for a GST registration. So that is one of the clause which is mentioned in the MSME Act. So that means all the particular MSMEs are been not registering GST registration, because so there is a certain limit in which so beyond that limit only 40 lakhs and 20 lakhs for goods and services. Okay, so manufacturing companies and as well as service sector companies. So there are particular limitations. Based on that limitations, you will go for the GST registration, or else you don't go for the GST registration. So that is the reason this statement is wrong. So here in this context only both the second and third statement are wrong. Option D is the correct answer. So next one is consider the following statements. So here the fiscal deficit is seen as a consistent decline over the previous 5 years. Okay. So next one is revenue deficit has declined consistently over the previous decade. Okay. So here they are asking about the incorrect statement. So you can see, so in recent past, so fiscal deficit value has been declined over the last 5 years. So after COVID-19, so it has reached almost like so 9.5%. Okay, so it has declined to almost current target is 4.4 and 4.8 to 4.4. So this is a range, so in which it is been fluctuating all the time. So that means on the whole fiscal deficit is consistently declining over the last 5 years. So but here you can see, so revenue deficit is all the time, so it is declining and then increasing and then declining. So it is uneven. Okay, it is not declining consistently. So incorrect statement is option B, only 2 is the incorrect statement. So next one is with reference to the primary deficit, consider the following statements. So you can see here the difference between the fiscal deficit and current year and interest payments. So that means primary deficit is equal to, so fiscal deficit minus interest payments. So interest payments of the previous year will be considered. So based on the borrowings, interest payments will be considered. So this statement is correct. So primary deficit indicates that so government's total borrowing requirements except the interest. So total borrowings in the sense nothing but so fiscal deficit. So minus interest means nothing but primary deficit. So this is also considered to be correct statement. Okay. Next, at the same time, increasing primary deficit. So if the primary deficit is increasing, so then a greater dependency of borrowing resulting in a higher debt burden. So that means, so the debt burden for the government definitely will increase. So it may be because of increase in fiscal deficit. So there is a possibility that debt burden may increase for a period of time. So that's why here, so option A is the correct statement. So all the three statements are correct. Next, so which of the below mentioned expenditure qualified as a capital expenditure? So expenditure on defense services, so expenditure on power grids, electrification in rural areas, so digital public infrastructure, so investments in corridors, export hubs, and construction of aims. Okay, hospitals and medical colleges. So here what you need to understand is, so with respect to the capital expenditure, So with respect to capital expenditure, so there is one asset will be created, and there is a possibility that a debt may be created. So that means, so most of the time infrastructure assets are being created. So based on the loans taken, borrowings by the government. So that is the reason why this capital expenditure so definitely involves creation of asset, and there is a possibility of debt. So if you see, apply that principle to this capital expenditure. So expenditure on defense services, it is a part of revenue expenditure, in which it is a recurring expenditure. So salaries for the armored personnel is a recurring expenditure which is given by the government. And expansion of power grids is a asset, and as well as electrification is also an asset created. So that's why it is correct answer. Implementing digital public infrastructure for agriculture, it is also a public capital expenditure. Investments in the industrial corridors and export hubs, it is also an capital expenditure. And construction of hospitals is also a capital expenditure. So on the whole, so four are correct. So option B is the correct statement. So next one is, which of the following constitute the effective capital expenditure? So here effective capital expenditure means, so capital expenditure, so plus any of the grants, so which are being helpful with respect to creation of assets. So then we consider it to be called as a effective capital expenditure. So here, which of the following are related to the effective capital expenditure? So it includes loan given by the central government to the public sector enterprises. Okay, so loan given by the central government to public sector enterprises. So any loans are being involved, so then it is considered to be part of capital expenditures. So grants in aid infrastructure development to the states. So here grants in aid creating assets, this is also correct. And effective capital expenditure focus on promoting long-term economic growth, and the strengthening infrastructure development. So that is one of the factor, the reason why the government is calculating this effective capital expenditure. So here answer is a correct one. So all the three statements are correct answers. Okay. So these are considered to be some of the points you need to remember. Okay. So next one, consider the following statements about the various taxes imposed on exports and imports in India. So here some of the taxes which are mentioned in the statements regarding exports and imports in India. So with respect to the taxes with respect to export and imports is a customs duty. Okay, so customs duty. So here we have many type of taxes, like so basic customs duty, or countervailing duty, or you can anti-dumping duty. So there are many types of customs duties are there. So among them, they have given one of the statement as so basic customs duty. So which is levied exclusively on the imports, not applicable to the exports. So this is a provision which is mentioned in the Customs Duties Act. So this statement is a correct statement. Next, goods imported under free trade agreements are usually, so usually is been taken the word which is being followed. So exempted from the customs duty. So that is the reason this statement is correct. So otherwise, some of the goods may not be exempted from the customs duty, even though we have free trade agreements. So in most of the cases, so this was been considered. So goods are being exempted whenever there is any free trade agreement with the other countries. So next one is countervailing duty. So which imposes to the offset of subsidies granted to the foreign government to their exports have been entirely replaced by GST, IGST. So this is wrong, because not all the goods and services are being replaced by IGST. Only few of them are being replaced by IGST. So this countervailing duty is being imposed on any of the foreign goods, or because, so for example, you consider as China, so it is giving certain subsidies, and these subsidies are used by the companies and produce goods at a lower cost. So these goods are being the if these goods are been exported to India. So in that case, so we are government is using countervailing duty so that Indian companies can be protected. So to offset the subsidies given by the foreign government. So that is to offset these type of subsidies. So countervailing duty is imposed by government of India. So whenever these goods are coming into India. So but however, so IGST did not replace all the countervailing duties. Only few of them are been replaced. So that's why so two statements are correct. Option B is the correct answer for this question. Okay. So two statements are correct. So option B is the correct answer. So next one. So next one, in the context of Indian economy, so non-financial debt includes. Okay. So here non-financial debt means which is not related to. So which is not related to. Okay. Any type of financial institution. So financial institution. Okay. So financial institutions can be of banks, or you can consider as NBFCs, okay, or developmental financial institutions. So anything, any particular debt which is not related to them. So then, which of them are been issuing this financial debt means? So financial debt means it can be any of the particular households or any of the companies, okay, any of the governments. So who are taking debt, they are considered to be part of this non-financial debt. So here any of the household borrowings include, so whenever they required the housing loans, if they borrow particular money from the banks, it may be personal loans, car loans, or you can consider as housing loans. So then we consider it as a non-financial debt. And at the same time, so whenever companies are issuing corporate bonds, so corporate bonds, okay, so that is also considered to be non-financial debt. So but here the treasury bills are considered to be short term, so that's why this is being included in the financial debt. So this is one of the exception you need to remember. So except treasury bills, okay, treasury bills is a short term lending mechanism, so generating money for the government, so by for the central government. So but however this is considered to be called as financial debt. Okay. And you can see the household borrowings or bonds, or most of the time they are considered to be long-term lending practices. So that is the reason why they are being included in the non-financial debt. So here any of the local, state or national government debt borrowed is included in the non-financial debt. So here answer is so 1, 2 and 4. So that is D. Only 3 is the correct answer. So next one, you can see which of the following measures can lead to the surge in the FDI flows in India. Okay. So here you can consider so FDI. So why we need FDI? Because so so we required FDI with respect to the investments. Okay. So with respect to the technology. So with respect to the development. So with respect to employment generation. So etc. So we need FDI. So which of the measures can increase FDI in India? So whenever the foreign company coming to India, if the process is very simple, so then they try to invest in India. So that's why ease of doing business will promote FDI. So example is single window clearance is one of the example for ease of doing business. Second statement says that improving compliance of taxes through the GST. So here we are simplifying the tax structure, simplifying so tax structure. So because of the simplifying tax structure, so most of the people or foreign investors are willing to come to India. So because of this GST, you can see the companies can project what is the tax need to be paid to the government, and accordingly, if the projections are being effectively, they can generate profits. So there is a possibility that FDI might increase because of increase in the tax compliances. It increases the transparency for the by the government, and accordingly it will be used by the companies. So that's why this statement is correct. Next, increasing interest rates by Federal Reserve. So this one already we have discussed. So whenever US Fed is increasing rates, so automatically, so any of the foreign investors, so definitely don't go to India. So they don't come to India. So instead of that, foreign investors try to invest in USA. Okay, so because they are getting high interest rates, so interest rates are very high, so they can get more returns in the USA itself. So why do they come to India? So because in the global world there is an uncertainty is there, so there is a possibility of high interest rates in USA. So foreign investors can invest in the USA rather than India. So that's why this will discourage foreign investment or foreign inflows to India. So here 1 and 2 are correct. So option B, 2 only is the correct statement. So next question, consider the following statements. So Indian electronic exports have grown substantially in the recent years. Okay. So and second statement says that it emerged as a major exporter of smartphones. So third statement says that national policy on electronics 2019 aims to promote domestic manufacturing and exports in entire value chain of electronics. So here I will take statement 2. So recently Apple has exported the iPhones, okay, so goods particularly to China. So that itself indicates that so the India has become exporter. Earlier we have imported the smartphones, but now in recent past we are increasing the exporter, and it may lead to electronics exports in the next coming years as well. So in the past years you see, so India's electronics exports has increased, and it is evident that so companies like Apple are coming to India, creating an ecosystem. So how they are been creating an ecosystem? So because of the policy passed by the government. So here, so most of the ecosystem related to the manufacturing of electronic goods is being created, particularly in the states like Tamil Nadu and as well as Maharashtra. So they are supporting with the infrastructure, and it led to the establishment of various manufacturing units, and there is a possibility of increase in the exports. So all the three statements are correct. So option A, so both 2 and 3 statements are correct, and both are explanatory for the first statement. So that is the answer. Option A is the correct answer. So next one, which organization releases the report called as Tax Justice Network? Okay, so this was released by the Tax Justice Network itself. So that is considered to be the organization. So in this Tax Justice Network, so the objective of the organization is, so with respect to this report, so it will try to address the problems of tax evasion, okay, and tax avoidance. So avoidance, the report consisting of the problems related to the tax evasion, tax avoidance, and tax competition or tax havens. Okay, so tax havens, so tax competition, so etc. So all these related information is mentioned in the report, and certain steps which are need to be followed by the countries to address these particular issues in the current globalized world is being released by Tax Justice Network. So the answer is 39 is A. So next one, with reference to the, so Kisan Kavach. Okay, so with reference to the Kisan Kavach, consider the following statements. So here, so Kisan Kavach is considered to be, so one of the particular body suit, okay, so which was developed by, so Brick in STEM in Bangalore, and as well as so one of the organization called as Sepio Health Private Limited. So both combinedly developed this Kisan Kavach. So what is the objective of this Kisan Kavach is protecting the farmers from any types of the toxicity. So whenever they are using the pesticides or any type of the chemicals used in the cultivation of crop. So it is one of the innovative thing which was developed in recent past, and so that is considered to be called as Kisan Kavach. So in this context, So both the statements are correct. So the answer is C. Both 1 and 2 is the correct statement. So next one is with reference to the Namaste scheme, consider the following statements. So here, so Namaste scheme is considered to be one of the scheme which was been started by Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So the objective of this scheme is with respect to the safety and dignity of the workers, providing a sustainable livelihood. So because in current context, most of the lower caste people are still living in a middle occupations. So to support them and to support the safety and dignity of the sanitation workers, government has come up with a scheme called as Namaste scheme. So it was implemented by Ministry of Social Justice and Ministry of Housing, and Ministry of Rural Development is not there. So Ministry of Rural Development is been not part of this Namaste scheme. And here Safai Karmachari Finance and Development Corporation is the implementing agency for this scheme. So the objective is to protect the weaker sections. So with respect to this Namaste scheme, and at the same time supporting them with respect to the various sanitation work which was being done by them. So like using machines with respect to the sanitation work, and for that purpose this National Safai Karmachari Finance Development Corporation is supporting them, and it is considered to be the implementing agency for the Namaste scheme. So here you can see, so two statements are correct. So option B, only 2 is the correct answer. Okay, option B is the correct answer. So next one. So next one is successful implementation of which of the following can aid in India promote circular economy. So here what we need to understand is circular economy in the sense of circular economy. So here in this circular economy, so most of the initiatives of the government to promote environmental initiatives are mentioned in this circular economy. So to protect the environment, what are the initiatives of the government? So is part of this circular economy. So with respect to India, what are the initiatives with respect to the environmental protection is? So first one, so machine life. So behavioral changes for the people is mentioned in this machine life. And next one is achieving Panchamrit goals. Okay, so there are 5 goals like INDCs. So INDCs are mentioned in this Panchamrit goals. Okay, next Swachh Bharat mission. So with respect to cleanliness, solid waste management. So and other initiatives under Swachh Bharat mission, and promotion of bio CNG so that pollution can be reduced, and implementing of scrapping policy. So recently government has come up with a policy called as scrappage policy, in which old vehicles will be recycled, and at the same time it will protect the environment. So here, so all the 5 are considered to be implementation of Indian government with respect to protection of the environment in circular economy. So that is the answer. Option A is the correct answer. So next one, consider the following statements. Interest paid to the loans extended to the states and union government. So that is the statement 1. So here they are asking about the non-tax revenue again. So non-tax revenue. Okay. So non-tax revenue they are asking. So here you can consider as non-tax revenue in the sense interest paid. Interest, anything interest related definitely comes under the non-tax revenue. Okay. So extended to the states and as well as union territories. Okay. So next, power supply fee. So power supply, any fee is part of non-tax revenue. So I said in the previous slides. Next, license fee paid by the telecom operators to the non-tax revenue. Next, dividends and profits received from the PSCs are considered to be major source for the non-tax revenue. So here you can see, so with respect to this non-tax revenue, so all the statements are correct. So the answer is here. All the 4 statements are correct. So next one is country X has devalued. Okay. So here, so with respect to the currency exchange, so dollar to rupee. Okay. So if the country intentionally is decreasing the value of the currency, so then we considered to be called as devaluation. So usually most of the countries follow, okay, depreciation. So but here question is with respect to the devaluation. So over 30%. So with respect to the US dollar. So which of the following outcome are likely to occur with respect to currency devaluation of the country? So what is the outcome of devaluation? So they are asking. So increase in the export competitiveness. Okay. So increase in the export competitiveness means whenever currency is devalued or depreciation. Okay. So depreciated. So automatically, so there is a possibility that so it will be definitely benefiting for exporters. So exporters will be definitely benefited. So that means most of the time, so exporters can earn more amount of money. So that is the point you need to remember. And at the same time, so next one is a reduction in the import costs. So here, so the prices with respect to imported goods will increase. So it won't reduce, but it will increase. So that is the reason this one is wrong. So raise in inflation due to expensive imports. So whenever import prices are being increasing, automatically inflation with respect to those goods will increase. Next, higher repayment burden on foreign currency loans. So higher repayment burden on the foreign currency loans. So for example, if you are taking more loans, okay, from other countries, so then whenever you are paying the particular loan and interest, so then you have to pay more amount of money. So that's why repayment burden will be very high with respect to this devaluation or depreciation. Next, whenever country currency is being depreciated, so definitely, so foreign investors will go back. So foreign investment will reduce. So they won't come. So they will take the money whichever has been invested, and that is considered to be called as capital flight, and it may create instability. So that's why the statement is correct. So purchasing power of the citizens will decrease. So whenever there is a high inflation, so then automatically purchasing power of the people will decrease. So here, except two, okay, so all the statements are correct. So option A, only 5 is the correct answer. Okay. So next one. So next one is match the following digitalization index with their respective organization. So artificial intelligence preparedness index, and as well as ICT development index, e-governance index, network readiness index. So here, so which of the organizations are being published? Okay. So here they have given a list of organizations. You can see. Okay. So artificial intelligence index is released by Artificial Intelligence Preparedness Index is released by IMF. Okay. And ICT Development Index, okay, is released by ITU. Okay. So e-governance development index is released by United Nations. So network readiness index is released by so Portland's Institute. So here the answer is A. So it is 45. So these are some of the points you need to remember. So answer or with this match the following is A. So next one. So with respect to the connect, harness, innovate, protect, sustain. So that is called as CHIPS framework, recently seen in the news. So which of the following report mentions the framework? So here recently, so the government of India has released a report. So with respect to the with respect to the digital economy. Okay. So so one of the report is India State of Digital Economy report. So this is the report which is mentioned or released by the government. So on behalf of the government, so Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Indian Council for Research and International Economic Forum. So these are the organizations which has released India's digital economy report. So in that report it is mentioned what are the opportunities and challenges faced by India in the with respect to digital economy are being mentioned, and along with that, so the connect, harness, innovation, protect, uh, sustain, that is called as CHIPS framework is also mentioned in this report. So what is this CHIPS particular framework in the sense? So whenever economy is going to be digitalized, and in that, so what should be the approach need to be followed with respect to the adopting digital economy and sustaining it, and how to develop or transform the economy into more digital format, and what are the opportunities, challenges faced by the government is being addressed by this chips framework. So it has almost like 50 indicators are being considered under this chips framework to identify how to promote this digital economy. So the performance of each parameter is been addressed, and accordingly it will try to focus on those parameters and develop this digital economy. So this is the report which mentions about the chips framework, is released by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. So next consider the following statements about the National Turmeric Board in India. Okay, so National Turmeric Board in India. So here they have given three statements. Which of the following statements are correct? So board regulates the domestic retail prices of turmeric. So anytime you remember that board doesn't regulate the prices. So this is a wrong. And turmeric board aims to enhance the research and development. Okay, so one of the objective of this board is to increase the R&D, and with respect to the exports, it will try to support the policy measures, and as well as it was been considered to be so one of the initiative of the government. So this board was recently created in Telangana. So turmeric board was created in Telangana, and it has facilitated the farmers, and accordingly the research and development which was promoted by this organization is very much helpful for the farmers, so that the exports in that region can be increased. And this was been established and created by, it is mentioned as Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers. It is not Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, but it is by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So it is by Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this is the ministry which has created this turmeric board. So these are the some of the points you need to remember. So you can see, so here, so this is wrong and this is wrong. Option A, only one is the correct answer. Next, so assume a country is having the incremental output ratio IOCR decreased from 15, okay, from 15 last 10 years to 10 this year. So what does it implies? Okay, so what does it implies? So for example, so I was here. So I was here in the sense it is not nothing but so investment required for the change in the output. Okay, so change in the output is considered to be called as I was here. So that means here, for example, 10 worth of capital investment is necessary to generate 1 unit of extra production. So that means, for example, so 10 rupees is there, so you are producing 10 pencils. So if you pencil one extra production, so with minimal amount, so we consider to be called as a incremental capital output ratio. So in this case, what you need to remember is, so whenever there is a low particular IOCR, okay, so low IOCR, so then there is a possibility that so the efficiency with respect to production of goods, so goods production will be high. So that is the correlation. So that means with the minimal amount, so we are able to particular generate more output. So here the country can be more efficient use of capital resources. So that means with little amount of money we are generating more number of goods. So that means that indicates that we are using the investments or the capital efficiently, and the country can grow at a faster GDP with the same level of investment. So for example, we have 10. Earlier we used to grow 10 pencils only or produce 10 pencils only. So if we use the principle of incremental capital output ratio, with the same amount of 10 rupees, we can produce 11. So that is considered to be so the IOCR, so which can increase the GDP at a faster rate. So this IOCR principle is adopted in the first 5-year plan. Okay, first 5-year plan. So that is, we call it as a Harrod-Hammer model. So in that Harrod-Hammer model, incremental capital output ratio is been taken and adopted. So because India is a newly formed country, so whenever the particular newly formed country, so it is not having any type of extra money to spend on the production of goods. So little amount of money should be used to increase the output or GDP. So that's why, so in that Harrow-Dommer model, so incremental capital output ratio has been considered. So here with respect to this, all the three, option C is the correct answer. And recent past, if you see, incremental capital output ratio has increased in the last 10 years. So that is the basic point you need to remember. So next one. So consider the following statements. Here they have given as a 1992. So Reserve Bank of India implemented a risk assets ratio for the banks. Okay, including foreign bank operating in India as a capital adequacy measure aligned with the Basel committees and adequacy norms. So here what you need to understand is, so in 1988, so Basel norms is been implemented, Basel 1 norms. Okay, and in 1992, so 1992, so India has adopted the Basel norms. Okay, so the objective of Basel norms, definitely it is they have created they have created certain norms need to be followed by the banking sector. Okay, so that the risk assets effect of this risk assets NPS impact on the banking sector can be reduced. So here what they have done is so capital adequacy ratio, so that is CAR is considered to be, so one of the particular parameter which was being considered, and accordingly, so it was being used by the central banks to follow the norms which are being released by RBI by all the banks in India, so that we can protect the banking sector from any type of eventualities, and at the same time sustainable process can be followed. So but however you can see, so here statement 2 says that the traditional method of comparing capital assets have failed, okay, to account for the risk factors associated with the different types on the balance sheet. So that means here you can see second statement is saying that, so before 1998 or 1992, so most of the time we never has differentiated the risk factors. So that means assets, if you consider, so assets, some of them are highly high risk, and at the same time some of them are low risk. Some of the assets means any of the loans which are given or any type of assets which are created by the banks. So in that high risk are there, low risk are there. So this type of classification was never followed in the traditional method. So that is the reason. So most of the time, so the bank balance sheet is consisting of only non-performing asset. Either it may be a high risk or low risk or not differentiated. Okay, so that's why these Basel norms are being adopted by the most of the central banks, and you can see off balance sheet activities are more. So that means they don't mention, most of the banks doesn't mention the various types of assets or income in the balance sheet. Okay, so balance sheet. So then if they are not mentioning in the balance sheet, we call it as a off balance sheet activities. So that are very high. So to standardize the process to protect the banking system, RBI has adopted the Basel norms. So based on the international norms followed globally, and at the same time CAR is considered to be one of the parameter, so which was been adopted. Next, third statement says that so CAR capital adequacy ratio can helps to ensure efficiency and stability to the national financial system, lowering the risk of bank collapse. So here, so capital adequacy ratio is considered to be, so one of the parameter, so which was monitored by the banks and as well as RBI, and based on that parameter, so it will try to assess whether the bank is having a high risk or low risk. So that is the reason why this parameter is being followed globally. So this is the scenario with respect to the Basel 1 and Basel 2. But when it is Basel 3 norms, they have taken so leverage ratio and other parameters, so to track the performance of banking sector in the global countries. And every central bank used to follow the banking sector in their own country. So here we can consider the answer is both the statements are correct, statement 2 and statement 3. So they will try to explain why statement 1 is being followed. So option A is the correct answer. So next one is consider the following statements about the government securities. So government securities so can be of two types. So one is long term and another one is short term. So government bonds, okay. So government bonds is considered to be a long term. So treasury bills is considered to be the short term. So most of the time you can consider government bonds in India primarily long-term investment tool for a period ranging from 5 years to 40 years. So this is considered to be the correct statement with respect to government security. So they are issued by the state governments. So here what you need to understand is if you consider only bonds, it is issued by the central government and state government. But if you consider only treasury bills, it is issued by the central government because state government doesn't have enough resources to compensate these treasury bills in a short term. Okay, so that's why the central government is issuing treasury bills. So next, government securities can be brought by the companies, commercial banks, individual investors, cooperative banks. So any person can invest in the government security. So here this statement is also a correct statement. So all the three are correct. Option C is the correct answer. So next one. So which of the following falls under the components of broad money? So broad money means you can consider as M3. So here you can consider as, so all the three, so 1, 2 and 3 are considered to be the part of broad money. So currency with the public, demand deposits, time deposits with the banks. So all the statements are correct. So option D is the correct answer. So next one, which of the following best describes the, so Hiroshima, a processor comprehensive policy framework. So here, so artificial intelligence is considered to be the next big thing. So it has to be regulated and followed certain guidelines so that AI governance can be achieved. So for this purpose, here one of the comprehensive policy has been adopted. So Hiroshima AI Process Comprehensive Policy Framework so describes about the international guidelines for the responsible AI governance. So this is considered to be so one of the objective of the conference. So you can remember this. Okay, option B is the correct answer. Okay, so next one. So next one, which of the following features are unified pension scheme? So UPS scheme. So recently government has introduced a UPS scheme and earlier schemes have been integrated with UPS. Okay. So here you can see the scheme is available to the central government employees who are currently enrolled in the national pension scheme. So the government employees can follow either the old scheme or the newly pension scheme. So here whoever are enrolled in the NPS continue with the NPS or they can join in the new scheme called as Unified Pension Scheme. Okay. So there are many features are there. So with respect to this, so assured pension for with at least 25 years service. Okay. So that means whoever are having 25 years service, so they will be granted with 50% of average basic pay salary. So that is one of the basic feature. And the pensions under UPS are being indexed inflation. Which type of inflation is used to calculate this pension is so all India consumer price index for industrial worker is been used, and at the same time, so you can see so guaranteed minimum pension is 10,000 rupees per month. So for those who worked at least of 10 years service, and at the same time, so family pension is there. So whoever receives 60% of the family members will receive 60% of the pension amount. So after the time of death of the pensioner. So all those are some of the features. So here the answer over here is UPS, so Unified Pension Scheme, option D. All the statements are correct answer. So next one, so Reserve Bank of India introduced a financial inclusion index in 2021. So to comprehensively assess the financial inclusion so across the country. So in this context, consider the following statements. So the index measures the availability and ease of financial services. So here what you need to understand is So financial inclusion is nothing but so providing basic necessary financial services to the so neglected sections or the people who are been not provided with any of the financial services. So for them to provide financial services, this index is very much helpful. And at the same time, this will be helpful in assessing the how financial services are being uh, the provided to the people and the performance can be assessed. And there are various types of metrics are being taken for the in-depth analysis of use of financial services and the products. Next one is about the index evaluate the quality of financial services. So like financial literacy, so consumer protection. So these are some of the areas in which the quality of financial services are being assessed. And study raising the financial inclusion index so is considered to be inception of substantial advancement in the financial inclusion nationwide. So this index is considered to be so one of the index, so definitely helpful with respect to the analysis of financial inclusion in India, and what are the different types of measures need to be taken to promote the financial literacy. So how the people investments are need to be protected, consumer protection, and various other initiatives are being assessed in this RBI financial inclusion index. So in this case, the option D, all the above are considered to be the answer. So next one, so which among the following industries increasing order of IIP? So here they have given cement, refinery products, steel, and natural gas. Okay, so refinery products is considered to be the highest. So almost like so IIP index is nothing but so 40.27 of percentage. So with respect to the weightage which is given to the industrial sector. So some of the core industries, so which are being part of this industries, so weightage is almost like 20.47. So in that, so one of the highest is refinery product, and the lowest percentage is with respect to the fertilizers. So here they have not given the fertilizer. So I will write the order over here. So it is a cement, okay, and then you can consider as a natural gas, and then steel, and then refinery products. So earlier electricity used to be the highest with respect to the IIP index. So these are all core sector industries. So currently it is refinery products. So if you see this order, so then the option D is the correct answer. Okay. Next, so consider the following statements about the priority sector lending. So here, so only public sector banks are being required to follow so PSL guidelines. Okay, so it is wrong. So this PSL is being followed by the public sector, private sector, foreign banks. So only public sector banks is a wrong statement. So first statement is wrong. So regional rural bank, cooperative banks, so small finance banks, so they need to follow 75% for priority sector lending, and this is correct statement, already we have discussed in the previous slides. Next, bank that do not meet PSL targets are required to deposit shortfall amount to the rural infrastructure development bank. So for example, any of the bank, if they are not able to meet these PSL targets, so that money has to be deposited with the NABARD. Okay, so this is one of the organization, or you can consider as SIDB. Okay, so there are many organizations. So with respect to NABARD, so the money will be deposited with the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. So that money is used for again for the development of infrastructure in rural areas. So here you can see, except the first statement, next 2 and 3 are correct. So option C is the correct answer. So next one is 57th one. So Reserve Bank of India recently permitted small finance banks to offer, okay, sanctioned a credit line through UPI. So in this context, so following statements about small finance banks. So here there is a one committee which is called as Nachket More Committee. Okay, so Nachket More Committee. So this committee has recommended a new set of banks called as small finance banks and as well as the payment banks. So based on that, the small finance banks is being created and given license to so many of the financial institutions. So these small finance banks are being regulated under the Banking Regulation Act and as well as so RBA Act 1934. So the first statement is correct. And all these small finance banks has to follow the CRR SLR. So it is a mandatory requirement. So whenever any particular bank fails, the CRR will be helpful. And at the same time, statutory liquidity ratio is also been followed by the small finance banks. Next, all branches of the small finance banks must be located in unbanked region. So here it is not all branches; it is only 25% of the branches has to be located in the unbanked regions of the country. So that's why the statement is wrong. And here, small finance banks required to extend at least 5% of adjusted net bank credit. So A and BC. So to the sections of classified by the RBI as priority sector. So it is not 5, it is 75. So that is the point you need to understand. So the statement is wrong. So on the whole, so the answer is two statements are wrong, two statements are wrong. Option B is the correct answer. So next one, so National Payments Corporation of India operates multiple payment systems so that facilitate digital transactions across India. Okay, so what is this NPCA? So NPCA is the organization which is created by the RBA. So with respect to providing so some of the facilities, particularly like UPI, so Bharat Payment Bill System, and as well as the Aadhaar enabled systems, etc. There are many others. So here the SWIFT mechanism is developed by USA. So with respect to safe transfer of funding from one country to another country, okay, and it is considered to be a global interbank financial telecommunication. So that is called as SWIFT. And RTGS is being developed by RBA for the transfer of large amount of funds from bank to bank. So that is these are some of the points. So here the various types of the facilities so developed by payment system developed by NPCI is UPI, so Bharat Bill Payment System and Aadhaar enabled payment system. So three are correct. So option D, three only. So these are some of the points. So next one is so with reference to the National Backward Class Finance Development Corporation, consider the following statements. So here they have given us a National Backward Class Finance Corporation Development Corporation is under Ministry of Social Justice. This is correct. And the objective is to promote economic developmental activities for the benefit of backward classes. So this is also correct statement. And it provides the financial assistance through state channelized agencies nominated by the state governments. So any of the agencies which are nominated by the state governments or union territories, so through them, so this the National Backward Class Finance Development Corporation so try to distribute the financial or provide financial assistance through the to the weaker sections. And it also assists a wide range of income generating activities through self-employment activities including agriculture related activities. All the statements are correct. Option D is the correct answer. So next one is with respect to the labor indicators. So government of India is that is NSO is releasing so periodic labor force survey. So in that we have labor force participation rate, worker population ratio, unemployment rate. So here labor force participation rate means so it is about the labor force so divided by total population into 100. So this is correct. So worker population ratio is so employed people divided by total population into 100. Okay, so this is also correct. So unemployment rate in the sense so unemployed divided by labor force into 100. So all these are considered to be correct. So option D is the correct answer. So next one, so with reference to the Pradhana Mantri Mega Textile Region and Apparel, consider the following statements. So here you can see PM Mitra aids realizing Make in India, a global hub for textile manufacturing and exports. So to develop the textile sector in India, so large textile industries are being promoted by government under a scheme called as PM Mitra, and it is been overseen or executed by Ministry of Textiles. So various projects which were been started, and at the same time, special purpose vehicle has been created with respect to the joint ventures. So with the states and union territories, so various stakeholders who are a part of it. So special purpose vehicle is considered to be one of the mechanism which is adopted for the public-private partnerships, and this was that same type of methodology is followed in the development of textiles industries in India. And Pradhan Mantri Mega Textile Integrated Textile Region and Apparel Parks. So PM Mitra Parks is being set up either as a greenfield or a brownfield project. So that means they will start with the scratch or they will develop the existing projects. So all these are considered to be the features of the corresponding PM Mitra scheme. Okay, so this scheme is helpful with respect to the development of so many of the particular textile sector or textile parks in India, and at the same time, so that will develop the textile sector on the whole, create employment, and as well as capturing various types of markets globally. So because in recent past decline of China's economic growth and decline of Bangladesh, so it has created an opportunity for the Indian companies to expand the textile sector in the global world. So this PM Mitra scheme very much helpful for the expansion of textile sector in the global world. So the answer over here is D, all the above. So next one is with respect to the consider the following statements with respect to geotextiles. Okay, so geotextiles is considered to be so one of the permeable textile material. So this is a new type of synthetic polymer developed in recent past. So which was extensively used in the automobiles, civil engineering and construction, so that they can fill the narrow parts or narrow gaps in the manufacturing of any goods or the construction. So for that purpose, these geotextiles are very much helpful. So that is the reason. So option C, both 1 and 2 are correct answer. So next, which of the following statements are following reports published by IMF? So here you can see, so Global Financial Stability Report, so World Economic Outlook are being published by IMF. So Global Competitiveness Report is released by World Economic Forum. Okay, so World Economic Forum, and the Global Economic Prospectus Report is released by World Bank. So these are the countries which are been releasing different kinds of reports. So here the answer is B, only 2. Next, so consider the following statements. So statement 1 says that real GDP provides a better picture of the economy than nominal GDP. So real GDP provides better picture than nominal GDP. So because in real GDP, okay, so real GDP, so there is a real growth of the economy. Real growth of the economy can be captured. So if it is a nominal GDP, okay, so nominal GDP is equal to real GDP plus inflation. So here, so if there is an increase in the nominal GDP, it may be because of inflation as well. So with respect to real GDP, real growth of the country can be captured. So that's why the real GDP is better picture than that of nominal GDP. So real GDP is nothing but adjustment of inflation with respect to nominal GDP at constant prices. So with respect to India, the constant prices we consider as 2011 and 12. So that's why the second statement is correct. So here both the statements are correct, and second statement is correct explanation of first. Option A is the correct answer. So next one, 65th question. So with reference to the GDP methodology, so which of the following introduced as a part of renewed GDP calculation by the Central Statistical Office. Okay, so this CSO is now called as a NSO. Okay, so in 2015 and 16, so government has appointed Pranab Sen committee. Okay, and this committee has given a new methodology with respect to the calculation of GDP. So it has changed the base year from 2004 5 to 2011 and 12, and earlier GDP is calculated at factor cost, and now GDP at market price is being taken as a reference. Okay, and the type of methodology which is used is value added method. Okay, with some modifications. Okay, and inclusion of value addition with respect to livestock is calculated in the agriculture income. So here agriculture income already includes a livestock. Okay, so earlier livestock is calculated as separate. So but in value added method, so the income generated through or added through livestock is included in the agriculture income. So this is also correct statement. Okay, and data. Okay, so uh, so the data sampling from the database ministry is MCA 21. So inclusion of value addition of livestock calculating of agriculture income. So here you can see, so here inclusion of value addition of livestock for the calculating of agriculture income. Okay, so here this statement is wrong. So because so already so the livestock income is included in the agriculture. So that's why we don't value add again livestock. So that is the reason this statement is wrong. Okay, and at the same time, so with respect to the various companies databases collected from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, they have started a project called as Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So from them we are getting the data. So that is used as an input for the calculation of GDP. Okay, so these are all considered to be some of the changes which we can see after the Purnab Sen committee recommendations. So one is change in the base year. So change in the GDP at factor cost to market price, and value added method has been adopted. So in that value added method, so already this livestock value addition has been incorporated in the agriculture income. So again we don't add this livestock in that agriculture income. So that is the reason why this statement is wrong. So here, so 1, 2 and 4 are correct. So 3 statements is correct answer. So next one, with reference to the difference between the gross domestic product and gross value added, consider the following statements. So you can see, as I said, so value added method has been adopted by the government. So in that gross value addition is nothing but so value addition of different products resulting in the production of final products. So that means here value added method in the sense, so GVA. So GVA is calculated for each and every sector, agriculture, so industries and service sector. So value addition in the each and every sector, we call it as a GVA. And gross domestic product is nothing but it is about the so total value of products produced within the country. Total within the country we call it as a GDP. So but here gross value addition is nothing but so value addition. So with respect to the products in different sectors is nothing but GVA. So that's why the statement is correct. So GDP gives the picture of whole economy. GVA gives the picture of enterprises. So that means companies or the government household levels in each and every sector. So that's why the statement is correct. So both 1 and 2 statements are correct statements. Okay. So 66 option C is the correct answer. So next one is consider the following statements. Statement 1 says that GVA is better measure for the value added by each and every sector. So here, as I said in the previous slides, so GVA gives you more information about the value addition of each and every sector in the economy. and GVA excludes all the intermediary goods. So here, so value addition is nothing but so output so minus intermediary goods. Okay, so intermediary goods are being excluded. Okay, so for example, you consider as a sugar cane. So here it is a primary good. It is included in the value addition of GDP with respect to self consumption. And from sugarcane we get sugar, and it is intermediary good. So and sweet is considered to be the final good. So this intermediary good value is not incorporated. So instead of that, we will take the final good. So that is what been mentioned out here. So GVA all the time excludes the value of intermediary goods in the production process. So this statement is correct. Okay. So here, so both the statements are correct, and statement 2 is explanation of statement 1. So option A is the correct answer. So next one, here they have given us NDP at factor cost. Okay, so GNP at factor cost and GDP at market price. Okay, so here NDP at factor cost. So NDP at factor cost. So NDP at factor cost means there are various ways to calculate the NDP at factor cost. So we can consider as a GDP at factor cost minus a depreciation. Okay, so GDP at factor cost minus depreciation. So that is one of the way. Or else, so we can calculate that market price equal to so factor cost plus indirect taxes so minus subsidies. So here you can add as a NDP. NDP. So either of the ways. So but here, so cost of intermediary input, so producing from the total value of the produce in the residence. So this is wrong. And GNP at factor cost, it is calculated by subtracting the so depreciation from the domestic product. So GNP and GDP relation. Okay, so GNP or GDP is a okay. So GDP plus net factor income from abroad, NFI. So here there is no way related to the depreciation. Instead of depreciation, so it should be NFI. It should be present. So the answer is statement is wrong. And GDP at market price equal to, so GDP at market price, okay, so is equal to, okay, nothing but, so it is definition of GDP, which includes all the final goods and services produced within a country during a given period. So this three and C are correct. So only one pair is correct, other two pairs are wrong. So option A is the correct answer. So next, in the context of environmental goods nets curve, consider the following statements. So here you can see the captures the relationship between the various environmental degradation and per capita income. Okay, so here the